recently you talked about direct plans, and this has been a raging debate right now, especially with the entry of some of the players like Paytm Money, and we saw ET Money coming in, and there was this whole big debate on whether investors should go to a direct plan.
Yes.
And at this point probably pay no fee, or
Yes.
should they go through an advisor, right? What according to you is going to be the way forward? Because people do need advice.
Yes.
At the same time, they're wary of paying a fee. So the existing infrastructure has been very conveniently built on commissions.
Yes.
We're somewhere going to see a disruption there. Should investors go for direct plans?
So there are 3 or 4 aspects to the whole direct plan versus regular plan versus advice and fee and all these kind of discussions. I think first is one must compliment the regulator, because I think, quite early in the game, our regulator was able to kind of figure out that there will be an era in the landscape wherein you will see the evolution of DIY and digital. And digital is something which enables DIY extremely well.
That is do it yourself.
Do it
just
yourself.
To clarify.
Yes. And on the other hand, digital media enables people to access information far more easily, sometimes even more easier than in the physical world. So one is that forecasting the landscape, our industry and regulator has kind of created this enabling environment for digital do it yourself. And it's more about giving choices. So one choice is that you buy the direct plan and the advice is kind of embedded in it, and the compensation for the advice is embedded in the fee itself. So, like you rightly said, a lot of times people don't mind paying a fee if it is embedded in the total cost. But if you tell them to pay a fee by cutting a separate check, then that becomes more like a hurdle and they feel that they are actually paying it. Whereas in both the cases, whether it's embedded in the cost or whether you cut a separate check, in both the cases, you are actually paying it yourself. These are things which are created for people depending on their preferences. The fact is that everybody needs advice. If you really ask me, I don't think there are very many investors out there who don't need advice. I mean, some people, for example, might be learning by watching your and my conversation. Some people might be learning by maybe seeing you on a TV channel or reading what you write. Some people might be learning by following, some books or by meeting their investment advisor or their banker. And some people might just consume knowledge on the digital media. So there are various ways of consuming knowledge, but the fact is that everybody needs advice. And whether you should go for direct plans or not, I think is a function of how knowledgeable you are and how clear you are about what you need. Because let's be clear about one thing, these digital platforms, they can enable the reach, they can enable accessibility of information, but I don't think there are very many out there who can actually tell you what exactly suits you for your financial planning and your long-term goals. And I think that's where a real-world investment advisor actually comes in. So I don't think that there is a straight answer that yes or no. I think it's for you as an investor to understand how capable you are of making these decisions yourself. Last thing I would like to share is that a lot of times people make this direct plan and regular plan comparisons in hindsight. So let's say you invested in Motilal Oswal Multicap 35 with an advisor and in a regular plan. And then you go back 2 years later and say that, oh, if I had bought direct plan, then I would have saved XYZ amount. Now that's a very wrong comparison to make, because
you may not have bought the scheme in the first place if you had not gone to the advisor.
Yeah, I mean, if your advisor never told you that this is a good scheme, you wouldn't have bought it. So a lot of times what I find is that people don't know whether they are in the right train or the wrong train, but they're comparing the speed. I think it makes no sense.
That's a good way of putting it.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.